Love is a long road. Trust. Today's December 7th. My name is Reagan, and on this channel I'm documenting the collapse of civilization by means of abrupt climate change. At this point in the video, I'd like to ask you to hit the thumbs up and consider donating to support this content, as I do it out of my own free time and willingness. If you need a little help on the phone YouTube app, it's right here below the video, a little thumb up icon, and on a computer it's right below the player. You just hit a thumbs up right there, and if you're using a smart TV or Roku streaming device, you simply tap down where you get to the options, scroll over to a thumb up, and you press up. If you didn't catch the notes in the last video, I am asking for 50 thumb ups per video, and at which point, if that's not achieved, even 49, then I will continuously give tutorials until another 3 consecutive videos receive 50 or more thumb ups. So this is on you folks. I don't mind giving a tutorial, but at this point it's what I'm asking. And I know there's a little couple trolls that seem to have a confusion and test my patience, perhaps suffering with some delusion or psychosis, but as you should know, I've made over 700 videos and earned my badge now, talking about this subject for 2 years. I have zero tolerance or patience for anything not about it. So let's get into some quick headlines. 2023 will officially be the hottest year on record, scientists report. Earth's temperature was off the charts this year. It'll be 1.4 degrees, according to Copernicus, and close to 1.5. Last month was 1.75, and 2 days above 2 degrees, worrying scientists what this means for the coming years. More on that in a moment with tipping points. As I mentioned, brace for a potentially record-breaking winter after a sweltering summer and autumn, researchers say. Will this lead to the warmest winter the globe has ever witnessed? Question mark. After summer and autumn marked by extreme temperatures, etc., etc., the hottest days to the hottest seasons broke headlines. We can probably anticipate, so sure, you will get snow and the usual downpours, but the global surface temperature will be set a new historic record. There's a 95% chance. Surprise! As we keep pumping it out with apparent extreme contradiction on the part of the Biden administration, whomever is in charge, because people cannot afford to have high gas prices. U.S. oil production keeps going up above what it was before the pandemic, and don't expect victory laps from Biden as he navigates the tricky politics. U.S. oil production over 13.2 million barrels per day. That's petropower. It's a delicate balance for the White House. As you know, he's played up U.S. oil strength in his re-election pitch, but he says, we're making all the steps necessary for reducing climate emissions in half by 2030, because miraculously we will rid the roads of gasoline-powered cars and re-engineer our entire infrastructure around energy, food, and goods and transportation, to include medicine and plastic toys at Walmart. We'll do all that by 2030 while we pushing further output upward. Okay? Can we have 2 faces or 3? Maybe 10. Quick and dirty plot of 9 months of record high North Atlantic sea surface temperatures. How long will this record streak hold? You can see the red there. In the meantime, little boy El Nino in the tropical Pacific is still growing. Yep. And we got to power it all without hailstorms, because hailstorms themselves, in terms of insurance claims, cause $58 million per incident. Even though the hail makes up only 1.4% of total claims, more than half of total solar loss claims are due to hail. Kind of a confusing statement, but what we need to know is it costs tons of money, time, and energy to replace these and put them all over the planet. We've already talked about Texas homeowners insurance rates skyrocketing. Now to The Guardian, talking about tipping points. Earth on the verge of 5 catastrophic climate tipping points. These same articles get recycled every few months. If you've been on this doom train as long as I have, then you see this pop up, intermittently in the mainstream. Let's not register. And essentially what this article and many other like it are pointing out is that these can trigger devastating domino effects, including, quote, the loss of whole ecosystems and the capacity to grow stable crops, with societal impacts including mass displacement, political instability, and financial collapse. Can we get a round of applause? The tipping points include the collapse of the big ice sheets in Greenland and West Antarctic, the widespread thawing of permafrost, the death of coral reefs in warm waters, and the collapse of one oceanic current in the North Atlantic. Other changes, such as hotter heat waves and heavier rainfall, these systems do not slowly shift in line with greenhouse gas emissions, but instead can flip-flop from one state to entirely to another, with climatic system tips, sometimes with a sudden shock. It may be permanently alter the way the planet works. Great. Don't you love reading this? Let's watch some sports ball and get the new iPhone. Yes. Scientists warn that these are large uncertainties around these. Mangroves and seagrass meadows are expected to die off in some regions around 1.5 to 2 C, and boreal forests which may tip as early as 1.5 or as late as 5 C. Wow, big difference there. So, shills for the industry are meeting in COP28. Okay, do I keep saying that? And they say, we're on heat by 2.5 by the end of the century. Despite promises to limit to 1.5. How about just 5C or 10 or 20? We're so tightly linked they could not rule out tipping cascades. If the Greenland ice sheet disintegrates, for instance, can I talk? It could lead to an abrupt shift in the Atlantic meridional overturning circulation. Say that 5 times over. An important current that delivers most of the heat to the Gulf Stream. So Europe would turn into an icy zone. Crossing these thresholds may trigger fundamental and sometimes abrupt changes that could irreversibly determine the fate of essential parts of Earth's system for coming hundreds or thousands of years. We're toasted peanut butter is what it's saying. Alright? While scholarship benefits from hope, we need to exercise caution when offering social tipping points as potential solutions to the temporal squeeze of CC. Deep sigh. Because, the general public will be completely educated and change our ways and give up food on the shelves and fast cars and sports games. While nearly half the world's flowering plants face the threat of extinction, surprise, maybe if you could offer people a college education for not $60,000 or a Cybertruck, the price of a Cybertruck, then you could actually have people doing this much more often. The critical work, a new study estimates that nearly half the world's flowering plants are threatened. So what they're essentially saying is there's more flowers to study and not enough people to study them. And among 330,000 species of flowering plants, AI categories, 45% of them is threatened. Okay, and some other disheartening news is while bears are half asleep wandering around Siberia because it's too hot to hibernate, they're struggling to hibernate due to abnormally warm weather in Russia. Still walk around the dens, mainly males, while females with cubs took their dens strictly on schedule. We all know the story. They emerge in spring when food becomes available again, but they're leaving their dens because warmer weather and shorter winters 3.5 days earlier with every rise of a degree centigrade. Cute little bear there getting out of his hole. And also soggy dens could be to blame. Zoo physiologist, research assistant, says temperatures above freezing in wet snowy conditions could cause melt water to enter dens and can make it uncomfortable for bears to stay in. Excuse me, guys, my speech today. I think I slept too much. The denning period in females with cubs serves as additional purpose to protect the cubs. Bear cubs are more susceptible to frigid temperatures than adults due to their smaller size, as their bodies store less energy and lose heat more quickly. Adult bears, however, can maintain daytime activity during the early winter months by elevating their metabolism when they're on the move and then slowing it down when they're resting. Bears that are wandering around half asleep may have triggered the physiological transition to hibernation state and are thus going about their business with a suppressed metabolism. We're just screwing the nature up, okay? But how are we emitting again? We talked about fossil fuels. Per capita, though, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Trinidad, these other places, per capita, per person, actually emit more than we do. The biggest emitters are dominated by the biggest economy, but what happens if we account for population? Qatar, ranked first, produced nearly 36 tons of CO2 per resident in the country in 2021. That is a lot of CO2 per person. And so I know China and US gets all the heat for producing the most, but in fact, per person, Qatar takes the cake. This has been your report, December 7th. My name is Reagan, and I wanted to confess that I was extremely hard on people who have children. I've made open rants about seeing attractive men and women my age, and not just regular folk, everybody. People from high school I'd least expect to have a child did, who I would completely disapprove of, still did, and yet there are many who don't. But at this point, with the chaos that's brewing everywhere, with what we know, I don't condone it. I don't understand. Maybe it was never in my cards. I never felt the need that I need to put one in and create, screaming, crying life form. It was never in my cards, and I've been with some very attractive, and one or two of them wanted it, and it never felt right for me. I don't understand it. Some people might say they have an ego or they're careless idiots, but we have a brain for a reason, and at this point, I seriously don't understand why anyone would, and people are still still getting pregnant, obviously. Like I saw this video of this homeless woman and man in Colorado. They come from Mexico, and they're living in Colorado in a tent, and this woman is still just newly pregnant. Mind-blowing. If you don't have kids and you're in your 30s, you start to come face to face with your mortality, and I encourage you to still have fun if you can, despite the grim reality that, you're alone, but you're not. You can still find a community of people and build friendships and have meaningful connections with people. You don't have to pump out another baby in this world, okay? Not have a Christmas surprise for your family. Whatever. You know how I feel. I'm just doing what's right. Telling the truth. Appreciate you, folks. December 7th. Hit like and subscribe. I'll talk to you soon. See ya.